What's good, family? Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday, where we bring quotes to help you grow from some of the books that I'm reading, right? So let's go ahead and hop into it. So, first quote that we have for this Wisdom Wednesday is from a book called Willpower Rediscovering Humanity's Greatest Strength. The book is by Roy Baumeister and John Tierney. So, the quote goes as follows. When psychologists isolate the personal qualities that predict positive outcomes in life, they consistently find two traits: intelligence and self-control. So, y'all, essentially, this book really went deep on willpower, right? So, what I really want y'all to think about when we talk about willpower is think about a video game, right? And like you have a bar, right? When you're playing a video game and your character and but as humans in this society, right, we have like you think of it as like your energy bar, right? And everything that you do takes from that energy bar, right? So that was a really big thing that I just found very profound, right? Is that like willpower being like this bar of energy that you have, and everything that you do in a day takes from that, right? So, if you use too much willpower, you could limit some of your decision making ability because you have like less energy to like process and think, right? Um, and a lot of that comes from self control, right? So you being able to control yourself in order to like not make certain bad decisions or even make decisions that will take more energy than it will give you, or even be around certain people or participate in certain activities, right? Like that's a part of the self control that has an impact on your willpower. Additionally, intelligence, right? So that, and in this sense, right, what I'm getting from it is that this is just the ability from right and wrong, right? But like maybe like tier three, tier four, tier five, right and wrong, right? Where we're actually like planning for the future, right? We're thinking about the future and we're able to make decisions on what to put our energy into and what not to put our energy into, based on things that will like yield certain results, right? So, yes, y'all, great quote. Definitely something that I highlighted as I was reading the book. Let's get into the next quote, y'all. So, we have a quote from the book The Art of Impossible by Stephen Kotler. So let's go. The quote goes as follows. Also, prepare for failure. There will be times when working out is impossible. You're too tired or too busy or both. It's bound to happen. On the days when the suck embraces you, pause, more than the other way around, have a plan in place. If you can't get your full workout in the morning, then have a pre-planned half workout schedule for the afternoon. And for those days when nothing seems possible, create a low energy grit exercise. If you're too tired to do anything else, this low grit exercise is what you do. So y'all, this I apply this to more than just working out, right? So this is something I actually had in place in my, like a mental type of model, for just life progression that I had way before I ever read this book, right? And my what I called it was just touch it, right? Like just touch it. Like if it's a part of your progress, if a part of your goals, is a part of whatever it is that you want to accomplish, you just touch it, right? Like if you can't do it that day, like if you cannot do it in full that day, you should touch it, right? And by touch it, that's what when he says a low energy grit work exercise, a half workout schedule, like be ready to engage in just like touching it, right? Like that means like, okay, I'm too burnt out. I had a abnormal day today. I need to go lift some weight. But today's my workout day and I need to go lift some weights. So I'm gonna go, and instead of doing 5 sets of 20, I'm gonna do, 3 sets of 15, just so I can touch it. Or maybe it might be 2 sets, maybe it might be just 1 set of 25, right? This go around. So y'all, yes, touch it, right? Like let's just make sure that anything that is on y'all pathway to success, whether that is content creation, whether that is starting a business, whether that is school, whether that's getting a job, whatever it is, touch it every day, right? So either you doing the full gambit of what you planned and set out to do, or you just touching it, right? You doing a maybe a low energy version where you made progress that day. You didn't take progress off of the table for the day, because that progress in turns that daily progress becomes a habit, and that habit begins to yield results and get you closer to your goals, right? So we don't want to take no days off from the things that, you know, we are committed to and that we want to use in order to make us successful. All right, so next quote. So y'all, this book is from The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. Literally one of my favorite books I've read, right? So anyways, this quote goes as follows. Engage in downward comparisons. You normally focus on those who seem to have more than you do, but it will be wiser to look at those who have less. There are always plenty of people to use for such comparisons. They live in harsher environments, deal with more threats to their lives, and have deeper levels of insecurity about the future. You can also look at friends who have it much worse than you do. This should stimulate not only empathy for the many who have less, but also greater gratitude for what you actually possess. Such gratitude is the best antidote to envy. All right. So this chapter in particular was just talking about envy and really like how to fix it within yourself. If you find yourself always envying somebody, you're always looking to folk that have more than you, instead of like paying attention to the full gambit of everything and everybody around you, right? Like it's like, look at some of the folk who have less than you. And sometimes it might not be money and status. Sometimes it might just be mindset. Sometimes it might be just like support, you know, like, because that in turn will make you feel very much more grateful for what you have. And even like some of the things that you don't have, right? Like you can even look at somebody who has too much, right? Like, thank God I did not grow up having too much of this thing, because it would have spoiled me, or it would have set unrealistic expectations, right? So yeah, y'all, like, you know, definitely be very careful about who you are looking to, right? Like, don't just look at people above you, but you also want to look at people on the side of you and people below you. You want to look at you want to have a 360 viewpoint of all of the folks in your life and all of the things that they've done, accomplished, and the things that contributed to it. And you need to find your pocket of gratitude for what you do have, and find a pathway of how you plan on, find your pathway of how you plan on building on those strengths and building on the positive things that built you into the person that you are, to help you get to the next levels, right? So super dope quote from Robert Greene, and talks about envy. I highly recommend like everybody read this book if you are navigating like social settings, you know, work, school, networking, all of those things. Phenomenal book, y'all. So that's it for that quote. Let's go to the next quote. So the next quote. All right, y'all. So with this next quote, just want to let y'all know, this year I've taken it upon myself to read all of the spiritual books. And I'm starting with Hinduism, and I'm making my way down. I'm starting with the oldest first, all the way up into the most recent. And I'm just doing like the main religions. Like, I'm not doing like, you know, some of the sidebar stuff, but all of the main things that influence society today. So this quote, y'all, is from the Bhagavad Gita, right? Again, it's an ancient Hindu spiritual book. It's a conversation between Arjuna and Krishna, right? And Arjuna is like a warrior fighting this war, and Krishna is like, you know, like a messiah figure, right? He's the messiah of like Hindu religion. And, you know, if I'm getting that wrong, somebody correct me in the comments, but that's what I got out of this. And I just recently finished it last week. Anyways, this quote goes as follows. To be right, a person must do one of two things. Either he must learn to have God in his work and hold fast to him there, or he must give up his work altogether. Since, however, man cannot live without activities that are both human and various. We must learn to keep God in everything we do, and whatever the job or place, keep on with him, letting nothing stand in our way. Right. So essentially, y'all, this quote is like the work that you do. And this book had a very good like piece on like selfless service. Like the work that you do should not be attached to like a reward, because then it's in vain. Right. You should be doing work that benefits humanity. Right. Like you should look at your work like that, like in your heart. Right. It's not necessarily like the impact of your work or anything, but in your heart. Right. Do you feel like the work that you're doing and whoever you're helping, whatever you're doing is pushing folks forward, right? Is pushing humanity forward, right? Because like as he says in his book, as you know, the author of the book says, like Krishna, right, which is the Messiah, the Holy Spirit, right? For those, just to draw the comparison, is in everything. And because he's in everything, if you do work to improve the conditions of humanity, you're doing God's work, right? No matter how small, no matter how big, as long as it's what you feel, right? And so essentially, um, it's important to keep your work and the work that you do connected to the source, right? Like, think about it, like the source of the spirit of human and mankind. Just make sure that your work is connected to that and you'll be A-okay. So that's that quote from the Bhagavad Gita. All right, you guys, this is from a book called The Masculine in Relationship by G.S. Youngblood and Dr. Robert Glover. This book right here, y'all, I'm not going to lie, this book is both for the men and the ladies, but mainly the men. Definitely for those of you who like grew up without, like, I'm not going to say a strong masculine influence, but like sometimes we have a lack of folk to show us how to talk and act and be around women. And I think that this book draws like a great framework for men to like, just be around a woman. Right now, you may not agree with everything, but it's actually really, really dope. And to me, it just seems pretty intuitive, right? Like a lot of things that they say. But here's a quote from that book that I read. It goes, it's not crazy when you provide these things, right? These things being, I cannot remember. It's three things. I'm putting them on the screen for y'all. It's three things. Shit. Provide safety, respond versus react. And there's one more that I'm forgetting that I'm not about to try to wreck my brain to remember, but these are things to like help women like trust your leadership, right? So it's not crazy when you provide these things. The feminine relaxes. She feels loved and led, which then brings us to the secret I said I would share with you about your woman's emotional chaos. Her behavior is explained by one simple maximum, which I've derived from something I've learned from David Data. He's the author of Way of the Superior Man. 90% of the crazy comes from your woman not feeling loved and led. Fire. So the next time your woman gets irrationally emotional or mad at you, know that the root of it is that she is probably not feeling a strong connection between the two of you and not feeling your care for her or not feeling your leadership, groundedness, and direction. Honestly, y'all, that quote speaks for itself, right? Like, fellas, we got to make sure that we're doing the things that we need to be doing, that we make them feel safe, right? And safety is also financial, right? So it's financial, it's physical, it's emotional, all of these different things, right? Like, that's why it's important for us to have self-discipline and control over ourselves and our emotions and how we respond versus react, right? The third one, again, I cannot remember it, but it's going to be on the screen. You guys can take that one and run with it how you guys see fit. And also, one other thing I want to add to what I'm saying is that financial safety does not mean that you guys are just providing like just endless amounts of money to your woman. Sometimes financial safety could be helping her manage her money, right? Like having a direction and a vision and like working towards that vision. Like even if y'all are a 50-50 couple, because that's just going to be the reality for a lot of couples out there. If you can create a direction of prosperity and a direction in which she wants to go in, she'll trust your leadership, right? And that comes with you guys getting on the same page, right? You guys have to get on the same page. Yeah, so yes, you guys have to be on the same page, right? Like, and you guys have to have those conversations. Once you guys are on that same path, and same page, then of course she can relax and let you lead, even if it's like half of her money, right? Where it's like, okay, well, this is the plan. This is what we're trying to get done. This is what we're trying to do, right? So dope quote. The Masculine in Relationship. I felt like it was a very sound and important book. So let's go ahead and move on to the next quote. So this quote is from Discipline is Destiny. Another Discipline is Destiny quote. One of my favorite books, you know, like just full of bars, right? Full of bars of wisdom. Anyways, this quote from Discipline is Destiny by Ryan Holiday goes as follows. A leader must sweat the small stuff, but also must know what stuff matters only to small people. How we dress and style ourselves is one of those tricky edge cases that make temperance difficult to pinpoint. A person who is sloppy and slovenly can hardly be said to be particularly self-disciplined. But on the other hand, those who value the superficial, sharp creases, brand names, or the fanciest new styles over the substantive are equally off track, right? So this quote is really dope because temperance is all around us, right? Like in every little thing, right? Like, yes, don't be all sloppy and dirty and not care about your appearance. Your appearance and your impressions are important, but don't overdo it to the point where we're in the land of just like vanity items that are just like, okay, like I need all of these things, like where the clothes are making you and you are not making the clothes, if that makes sense, right? And I don't even mean like you sewing or anything. I mean literally like you, like your style and who you are shining through the clothes, right? Because your style and who you are is not going to shine through a name brand. It's going to shine through how you put things together, right? And that goes for everything, right? It literally goes for everything. It's like, don't be too far on this side. Don't be too far on this side. Be exactly what you need to be and what you need to do at that moment. Like, don't go too far and spend so much time over here. I know sometimes we can indulge in our hobbies and our passions, and that's okay. Right? Nothing is wrong with indulging in your hobbies and your passions, but just know where to cut it short to where we're not dwelling in excess, right? I think like a lot of like discipline and self-control is just understanding when to cut off the excess, right? Super dope quote from Ryan Holiday in the book Discipline is Destiny. Discipline is Destiny is so dope that I actually have another quote by him for Wisdom Wednesday number 7. So this quote goes as follows from Discipline is Destiny by Ryan Holiday. By being a little hard on ourselves, it makes it harder for others to be hard on us. By being strict with ourselves, we can take away others' power over us. A person who lives below their means has far more latitude than a person who can't. That's why Michelangelo, the artist, did not live as austerely as Cato, but he avoided the gifts dangled by his wealthy patrons. He didn't want to owe anyone. Real wealth, he understood, was autonomy. Man, I love this quote. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, I'm not familiar with like the folks back in that time. I know during when I was reading the book, he mentioned them, right? But I think the lesson still stands. Be hard on yourselves, right? Because again, if you're hard on yourself, then the world cannot be harder. The world should not be able to be harder on you than you are on yourself, right? You should strive to be the best possible you that you can be at all times. Every time you step in any building, every time you do something that's associated with your skill set or your profession, or even in your family, right? Like your kids should always see you being hard on yourself, and really being hard on yourself is really expecting nothing but the best from yourself. And expecting the best from yourself means that you putting in the work to actually become that, whatever it is. If you want to be the best father, then you should place your ideals at the forefront and work towards them. If you want to be good in your profession, same thing, right? Have a vision, work towards that vision, do more than what is asked of you. Right. When we talking about our professions and the things that we want to accomplish in this world, right? Even if it's for your community, like be that example, you know. And then also too, when you talk about avoiding the gifts dangled by his wealthy patrons, that means that we are not just going to be swayed by anybody who is like offering us money, because that's going to distract us from our path, right? We're not going to get distracted off our path from, you know, frivolous like items and frivolous gestures and frivolous amounts of money that is going to distract us and take us off our path, right? Because real wealth is autonomy, right? That autonomy means that we have our destiny in our hands, and we can make decisions on what we want to spend our time on, what we want to spend our money on, what we want to do in our lives, right? So, you know, that is true autonomy, right? That is true wealth. And I fully agree with that one. And I fully agree with that. Fully agree with that. Right. Like having autonomy, being able to like, and autonomy is really choices, right? Like choices on a bunch of different levels, right? Choices on how you spend money. Again, choices on how you spend time, choices on who you want to be around, right? Like these things are all like baked into autonomy. And with that being said, y'all, that concludes Wisdom Wednesday for this week. You know, definitely subscribe, like, comment wherever this is being posted at, right? YouTube, Instagram, wherever. Let me know what you think, right? Like, let's have a conversation. I'm replying to everybody, right? Like, I would love to have conversations with y'all on what y'all think about these quotes and stuff like that. But yeah, you know, these is the you know, these are the quotes that I come across as I'm reading the different books that I'm reading. And again, I just wanted to do Wisdom Wednesdays because I want to share that wisdom. I want to share that knowledge. Like I feel like I learned so much about so many different things, and so many different words, phrases, and paragraphs and sayings have so much of a deep, profound impact on me and how I lead my life and how I move. And like, I feel like I would be selfish to just keep that inside of me and inside of my mind when I can share it with y'all. And at least if y'all don't read the whole entire book, y'all can take one of these quotes, maybe a little bit of my perspective, and hopefully it can improve y'all lives, right? Because that's really what this is for, right? This is for my peoples. Like, let's definitely step up. Let's get our ish together, and let's really get to the next level. You feel me? But with that being said, family, peace.